God provided a house. Hello, kind person. I appreciate you watching so much. This video is a result of a promise that I made to God. I said, God, please take me out of this situation, which was my living condition at the time, and I will testify of your goodness, and I'll show and testify of your goodness, no matter the consequences or the opinions of man. So, if this video offends you somehow, it's okay. You know, you can click out of it at any time, and peace be with you. So let's continue on with the testimony. I'm kind of excited, a little nervous, but mostly excited. So for a long time, we've wanted a house. But as we prayed about it, God did not give us the go-ahead. So we decided to be content with what we had. And then at the end of 2019, God began to speak to us about a house. So we're excited. We're thinking it's going to happen now. It did not. So we decided to just wait, and as we're waiting, a lot did happen, which made us move so many times, which made it seem impossible for us to be able to purchase a decent house in Florida. So we decided to keep waiting. And then on April 16, 2020, my mom had a vision. And in her vision, she saw that our family, being 3 individuals, were living in a small rectangular shaped room, and all of our stuff was piled onto each other. In the space, she saw that there was a toilet, and the toilet was a Haitian rural styled box toilet. In the vision, when she's looking at the toilet and she's looking at the room, she heard a voice in the vision say that this is where your deliverance is. This is where you're meant to stay. When she woke up, she told us the vision. She wrote it down. That's how I know the date, because she writes her visions down and stuff. And we mostly understood it, but for my sanity, I'm like, it's a parable. It has to be, because where in this United States will you find a small room for rent? So I'm like, okay, I don't think too much of it, but we're just like, wow, so that means our deliverance is coming soon. Great. We keep faith and we keep living. Then one day she comes home and she's like, I was speaking to a coworker and I was telling them if anywhere near them had apartments for rent. And mind you, we're moving again. She's like, and the coworker was like, I recently purchased a house and the mortgage is expensive, so I'm renting out part of the house. And she was saying that the coworker was saying if we wanted to come see it. And I'm like, bro, what are you saying right now? Like, you shouldn't even brought this up. What are you saying? Of course we're not gonna see it. What is that? No, we're not living with people. Like, what? Pride speaking. We keep it moving. So May 3rd comes, which is the day that her coworker gave her to come see the house if she wanted. She wakes up and she's like, let's go see the house. What do you... Yeah, I just had a vision. It was that the coworker was calling me and was like, hey, are you coming? This and this, we're waiting for you. Long story short, we somehow end up going to see the portion of which we will be renting. And when we go in, the first thing we see is a small rectangular sized room. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So right now my heart drops because I'm like, bro, God, why are you playing with us? So my mom and I, we look at each other and we're like, when we see it, we're obedient and we go and pray. As a family, we're like, oh my gosh, God, please tell us that this is a joke. This is not where we're meant to be. And he's like, this is where you're meant to be. As you remember in the vision, this is where your deliverance is. So we're like, So if we want to be delivered, we must follow. They agree on a price or whatever, and I'm sad. May 15th, 2020, we move in, and all of our stuff is piled onto each other like the vision. So after we're moved in, we're like, okay, it's all right. We're hopeful because God said that this is where our deliverance is. So, 2 or 3 months max and we'll be out of it. We're praying and all those things. 3 months has gone by and nothing. So we're a bit confused, but we're like, it's good. Maybe we rushed the process. 6 months. It's clearly 6 months. 6 months has gone by, and now we're like, bro, what is happening? We stay in prayer, now we're begging. Like, God, please. 9 months has gone by, we're bitter. Now we're bitter. We're like, we listened, we obeyed, and you have not spoken. The ball has not even started rolling. What is this, God? And now, at this point, the house starts molding. The person's house starts decaying. So there are leaks, there are moldings, our things are decaying because everything is stuffed and they don't have any air. And we didn't unpack because we thought we were gonna be there for 2-3 months. We did not ask God how much time we would be here. So that's our fault as well. But our things start decaying because everything is like wrapped in a bag. So yeah, we're upset. We're tired physically, emotionally, and spiritually we have to be at our peak because the enemy is coming up for us. If we're not at our peak, we will die, literally. So at this point, we don't even ask God about the situation anymore. We're just trying to survive. And then the end of December, God spoke to us and was like, okay, I want you to ask this specific person if they have a realtor. And we're like, whew, wow, God, thank you. So we asked the person. The person's like, yeah, I actually have 2 people. And the person was like, oh, but I can give you this person because they're the one that helped me purchase my house, this and this. And we're like, perfect. Before we called the realtor, we prayed about it. We're like, okay, God, take control. Every time we're calling the realtor, we're like, take control, God. Please put words in our mouths and stuff like that. The person sent us to a mortgage broker, and we prayed about it, and we called the mortgage broker, and the mortgage broker seems nice at first as well. So we're like, amazing. Wow, look at you, God. We go to the mortgage broker January 21st, 2001. When we go, we're like, everything seems to be going so easy. We're praying still. We're not like neglecting that, but we're happy. So after, we have to go to the mortgage broker again because he gave us an appointment or something. But after, when we go to the mortgage broker, I don't know if he was having a bad day or the enemy knows our weak points. He kicked us out like dogs. He was just rude. Yeah, we were upset. My mom was mostly upset. She was like, I'm never going to this man again. And God was like, yeah, you're going to this man because he's the one that's assigned to your case. And, you know, out of obedience to God, we stayed with the man. When he gave the realtor the clear on like the amount that we have and all those things, the realtor started searching. And the realtor was like, oh, by the way, where do you want the house to be located? And we're like, whoa. We went and we asked God. He gave us the location. And we're happy. It takes a while. Then April 21st, 2021, the early morning, the realtor calls us. I have 2 houses that I found and I want to show you. Are you available this morning? Yes. That same morning when we're driving to meet the realtor, we're praying. And I remember my mom was like, okay, God, if today would be the day that we found the house, that would be lovely because we're trying to leave the place that we are like immediate. And when we go to the first location, we arrive before her. So we're looking at the house and we're like, we don't really like it. After a while, the realtor comes with her husband, and this was the first time that we met her because we've been only communicating on the phone. She starts looking for the key and she cannot find it. That's odd. And even she's frustrated. Her husband goes all around the house and looking for like a hiding place for the key. She calls her company. She cannot get a hold of them. Okay, let's go to the second address, and then if we need to, we'll come back. This is God's plan. We go around the second location like 3 times and we cannot find the address. And when we find it, we're like, this is beautiful. Whoa, we're shocked. Okay, we're like, it's like so secluded and like so pretty and this and that. Starting to feel happy, but we don't want to get our hopes up. I'm already communicating with God. I'm like, okay, God, please tell me if this is it. God is like, yeah, this is the house. And I'm like, maybe I'm just bugging. Maybe this is my emotions getting in the way. Maybe I'm not listening clearly and I'm just, putting words in God's mouth. I don't know. So I don't tell my mom anything yet. After a while, when we're looking at the house, she comes and she's like, let's ask God. And I was like, I asked God. He said, yes, but I don't know. Over here, like excited. So the realtor and her husband is like, wow, this is beautiful. This is so well made. This and this and this. So they're like hype. She could have gotten discouraged because we were so calm. We were just like, oh, this is. But inside, we're like, we we told the realtor, okay, you can put an offer. So we go to work and we're praying still about the location. We're praying about the house price. And when we negotiate on the price, like, I'm telling you, it's God, because the sellers lowered their price so quick that even we were shocked. We're like, this is baffling. April 28th, we had the house inspection. So when we knew that the next process would be the inspection, we started to pray that God would select his person to do the inspection, that the person that's doing the inspection would not work against us, that if it was a white person, that they would not be racist. We were praying for those things. We're interceding on our behalf for the inspection. When we saw the inspector, and the person was so beautifully nice, like he was so sweet. So this is where things start to get messy. We start to get a little suspicious of the realtor because her attitude starts to waver and we don't like it. By the grace of God, the house is very much up to date. So the air conditioner manual thing is electronic. The inspector is like, I don't know how to work this. I don't know how to turn on the air and stuff like that, or make it higher and stuff. And we're looking at each other like, we don't know either. There's like a jacuzzi that he's like, I don't know how to work it. And so basically there's a lot of things that he was like, I don't know how to inspect it because I can't turn it on. When he's saying those things, basically trying to work with us, the realtor's like, I don't know, like put everything on the report. Everything that you can't turn on, put that it doesn't work on the report. We're like, oh my gosh, we don't know what to do, because the more things that he puts on the report, that can affect the value of the house, which can then affect the amount of money that the banker or the loaners are willing to give us. And then we will have to pay more money. So we're like, how do we help you? Because we can't. And let me tell you how God worked, fam. So the seller, he thought that the inspection was done and he was trying to come to like fix something or something like that. And when he came, he saw us. So we're like, oh, holy, thank you, God. Because now the owner was telling the inspector how everything worked. Looking at God like, okay, God, you're really doing this? We're waiting for the mortgage broker to start constructing the loan contract. We waited at least a month for the appraisal to be done. And it's because the mortgage broker would not do the loan contract. He would literally not do it. Since the case with the house started, we had been fasting forever. And it wasn't like even an intentional thing where we're like, okay, we're gonna fast for this house. But God was literally making us fast for the house. Like we would wake up and we would just pray and pray and pray. And next thing we know, it's like noon. From April 28th to May 30th, we're fasting and we're praying and we're asking God, like, should we call this mortgage broker because he's being annoying, that he's not doing his job, because we do not have money. Like, the house looks like the house of a person who has money, but we do not have money. So we're asking God, we're like, God, please let this house increase. So the house increases, which is wonderful. So we felt so delivered. The price that we would have to bring to the closing dropped significantly. And then next thing you know, the sellers start to get fussy. The enemy is using everyone he can use to be against this. Absolutely crazy. So for now, again, we're waiting for the mortgage broker to finalize everything with the bank that is loaning us the money so that we can get the loan. We are the ones that know how much we're suffering, where we are, and how much we're enduring. And the mortgage broker is just, living his best life. Then June 11th comes and the closing doesn't happen. I end up crying on a business Zoom call because I'm just tired. At this point, I'm tired. The emotional roller coaster that I've been through for this process has been like never before. But because God was saying that we had to stay by his side, and the process is already almost over, we're like, might as well stick it out. So we get an extension for the 18th of June, which is the next Friday. So on the night before the closing, which is the 17th of June, the realtor calls us and is like, hey, are you looking at the receipt for the payment that you have to bring for the closing? Because I see that they charge you like $3,418 twice. And we're looking at the receipt. We're like, we saw that the sum or the total was like too high, but we couldn't figure out why it was too high. So we called the mortgage broker. He's like, oh, I don't know anything. The bank, you should talk to the bank. So we're like, okay. So we called the bank. We called the bank up, and the bank is like, yeah, the mortgage broker sent us that report and that receipt. So talk to him. So we're like, ma'am, you have to understand that I just spoke to the mortgage broker, and the mortgage broker said that you guys did it. And the bank is like, okay, cool, I'm gonna call the mortgage broker. So the day of the closing, we're still trying to figure out the price that we are to wire to the bank. So we're calling the bank, we're calling the mortgage broker, we're being sent to the appraisal office, and we're calling, and I'm on the phone. I'm like, bro, like the closing is at 3 o'clock today, and we need to figure this out. It's noon. Like, that same morning, we wake up, we're praying, we're fasting, we haven't eaten. And then at 2:30, that's when they sent us the closing costs. So we have to get to the bank before it closes. The money has to be transferred before 4 o'clock, because that's when the office closes, or you can't wire money anymore. We're like rushing to get to the bank, and then we're rushing to get to the closing office, and we're like, oh my God, please do not let 4 o'clock catch up to us, because then the closing cannot be done on the 18th anymore. So we're like, oh my God, help us. By the grace of God, we end up closing on the 18th, and it was such a big deliverance. Wow. Thank God. And like, words cannot express how exhausting this process was. How much the devil tested us, you know? The enemy was coming for us left and right, up and down. And if it wasn't for the grace of God, we would not be able to purchase this house. God has been so faithful, and it's not even realized when we were able to purchase a house. Like, he was still faithful when we were in that rectangular sized room, when all three of us was in that room, because we had a roof over our heads, we had water, we had a job. You know, God was still so faithful to us. We had life, okay? Because as I said before, without God, we would not be here. So hope you were inspired by this testimony. I hope that you were encouraged by this testimony. I hope that God touched you through this testimony. And remember to be kind to yourself and those around you. Until next time.